you're losing weight, everything's great, and then bam, you hit a weight loss plateau. Today I wanted to talk about the plateau because it's something that pretty much everybody goes through when you're losing weight. It's a dreaded thing, and it can really throw you off track if you don't know how to properly deal with it. So today I'm going to talk about my own personal experience with them and how I overcome them. So my own personal experience with plateau, the main one that I went through, it was so frustrating. I had lost about 20 pounds from late February of 2015 until about July of 2015. And so that was about 5 pounds a month. I was pretty happy with that. And then I just couldn't lose weight anymore. I hovered right around 200 until really January of 2016. And it was so frustrating. I didn't know what to do. Luckily during that time, I read an article and it was encouraging, and it basically said, don't give up and don't panic. So I'm going to give you a process that I go through if I'm ever plateauing and I don't want to be, then I go through this process. First of all, determine, are you really in a plateau? And the way I would define a plateau is that for 1 month you have seen no decrease in your weight. Remember, your weight loss is like a heartbeat. It goes up, it goes down, and you have to look at that trend line. So it's very hard to see like week to week if you're really in a plateau. So I would say if you're, if after a month you're just seeing it flatline, then at that point I would say you're in a plateau. Then the second thing I would do is put a positive spin on it. Instead of saying, oh, I'm in a plateau, realize, hey, I've learned how to maintain my weight loss right now. And really, if you think about it, learning how to maintain your weight loss is really just as important as learning how to lose weight in the first place. Because if you lose weight but you don't understand how to keep it off, then you're back where you started. So if you really are in a plateau, here's what I would suggest you ask yourself. Number 1, do I have a written plan? And if the answer to that is no, you need to write down your plan, because chances are you just don't really know what your plan is, you're not really sticking to it, and that's why you're just kind of in this area of a plateau. Now, if you do have a written plan, you need to ask yourself, am I following this consistently? And this, I think, is the biggest part of weight loss, is being consistent. Whatever you do, whatever plan you choose, I don't care if it's intermittent fasting or if it's Atkins or if it's paleo or 30-day fix or whatever it is, you have to be consistent with it. One thing I do is I ask myself in the beginning of every day, did I follow my plan yesterday? And the reason I ask it in the morning, the day after, is, because snacks and late night things can happen. So instead of saying it, after supper, I wait until the next morning and do a whole review of the day before in my mind. If you sit down and you're honest with yourself and you say, I'm really not being consistent, ask yourself, why are you not being consistent? And basically there are 2 options. Either your plan is too hard, or your plan is okay, but you just haven't really committed to it. So if your plan is too hard, I would say find another plan. There's no reason to make this too hard on yourself. Different plans work for different people. So just say, okay, that one was not gonna work for me, moving on. Or you can just make some minor changes to the plan to what you know you can stick to. If on the other hand, you know that you can stick to the plan, but it's just because you really haven't committed to it and gotten serious, then recommit to it and say, okay, I haven't been doing this, but I'm gonna recommit. Okay, but what if you say, hey, I have a written plan, I have been very consistent with it, and the scale is just not moving down. And that does happen sometimes. I would say, my own personal opinion is give it 2 more weeks. And I know that sounds like a lot. That's 6 weeks of being at the same weight. But again, if you're staying at the same weight, that's an okay place to be. That means that you're learning right now, whatever I'm doing is maintaining my weight. In most cases, in my experience, the scale does start to move down again. But if you still are stuck at that number, even after, that's a whole 6 weeks of being stuck at that same number, then you probably need to tweak your plan just a little. And my own personal opinion would be you need to tweak your eating plan. The exercise component is important in that it keeps you active, keeps you feeling good and all that, but really you can't outrun your fork. That's a true statement. Personally, I can still lose weight on this plan that I have of eating once a day, but there may come a time in the future that if I want to continue to lose weight, I may need to modify the types of foods and stuff that I eat. but right now it's still working for me. Really, any diet plan, that's how it works. It's that you are just consuming fewer calories than what you're burning. And pretty much anything Atkins or paleo, all of those things work because you're putting less into your body than what you need, and you're burning off pounds. It just so happens that with intermittent fasting, that's how I can eat fewer calories and not feel deprived. So if you need to tweak your plan, make it very minor and make it very achievable, and know that you can be consistent with it. This is not a time to be all crazy, because whatever you were doing was working. So likely it just is going to take a tiny little change to then get that scale moving back down. And if you make that minor tweak and it still doesn't move the scale, make another minor tweak. But each time, make sure that you're being consistent with it. So basically, you're just gonna have to be stubborn with this plateau. Be more stubborn than the plateau. That's my best advice. So to recap, remember, think of it as being in temporary maintenance mode. Don't think of it as this horrible plateau. Ask yourself, do I have a written plan? Ask yourself, am I sticking to that plan? If it's too hard, tweak it. If you're being consistent though, give it another couple of weeks and then minor adjustments only. So I hope that helps. I know that it's helped me when I am going through a plateau. Generally, I'll be honest with you, it's because that means I'm kind of going off plan, I'm not being very consistent, and then that's when the scale starts to stall out. If you have had a problem with a plateau in the past, how did you break through it? Let us know in the comments below. Let's learn each other's tips and tricks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.